So, if you've been watching the absolute explosion of artificial intelligence lately and thinking you're completely locked out just because you don't know how to code, well, you are entirely mistaken. Today, we are taking a totally grounded, hype free look at how you can actually transition into an AI career. No exaggerations, no impossible promises. We're just going to focus on the structured, practical steps you need to move forward.
Look, you do not need to become an AI engineer to build a career around AI. But casually using ChatGPT is not a career plan either. By the end of this explainer, you will know exactly how to choose a realistic AI career direction, identify the actual skills you need, and, most importantly, create proof that employers can actually evaluate. Let's jump right in.
All right, Section 1, the realistic starting point. And spoiler alert, there is absolutely no computer science degree required for this.
The biggest misconception out there right now is that AI jobs are exclusively for software engineers. But let's just break down the actual landscape of AI roles. At the highly technical level, machine learning engineering, model research, yes, those absolutely require deep programming, advanced mathematics, the whole shebang. But consider the primarily non-technical roles. We're talking adoption support, AI training, content review, and governance. The expectations here, they aren't about coding at all. They're about AI literacy, communication, and deep domain expertise. Then we have semi-technical roles like workflow automation and tool integration. Here, you might be working with spreadsheets, process logic, maybe some APIs, but you still aren't building a machine learning model from scratch. Now, non-technical does not mean effortless or unskilled, not at all. It just means the role centers on applying, evaluating, and governing AI rather than engineering it.
So here's your actual formula for success. Your existing strength plus relevant AI skills plus portfolio proof equals a credible transition. Your non-technical background is a massive advantage. Generalists often lack context, and honestly, we've all sat through those aimless strategy meetings where no one actually knows how the day-to-day work gets done, right? But if you're a teacher, you already understand learning objectives and student needs. If you're an operations professional, you already know where the bottlenecks and process failures are. AI skills become commercially valuable when you use them to literally supercharge that existing expertise.
So, how do you find the right lane for your specific background? Well, that brings us to Section 2. The F.I.T. framework.
The F.I.T framework is a fantastic tool to narrow down your options and really test a potential career path. F.I.T stands for function, impact, and technical depth. First up, function. What type of work do you already understand? Maybe it's marketing, customer service, or compliance. You really need to know the operational constraints and the common mistakes of that specific field. Second is impact. What business result can you actually improve? Because simply knowing how to use a bunch of AI tools is not a business outcome. Can you create faster response times, clearer reports, earlier detection of errors? And third, technical depth. How much technical work is genuinely required for this path? Does it just need no-code tools, or will you eventually need to learn SQL or Python? You've got to align your choice with what you are actually prepared to learn. Please do not just choose a lane based on flashy salary headlines.
Let's look at a really concrete example of this in action. Imagine a customer service coordinator who wants to move into AI. Step 1, their function. They already understand support operations. They know the escalation rules, the ticket categories, the reoccurring customer complaints. Step 2, the impact they want to make. Faster, more consistent ticket triage, but critically without sending out those unreliable automated responses that drive customers crazy. Step 3, technical depth. They might start with spreadsheets in a simple no-code workflow and eventually progress to understanding APIs to connect different support systems together. Using this framework, this person is perfectly positioned for a role in AI operations or workflow automation. They aren't trying to become a machine learning engineer, and that is exactly why this transition is both realistic and incredibly valuable.
Once you actually have your direction, what exactly do you need to learn? That's Section 3, the AI skills stack, because collecting random tools or certificates without a practical purpose is a major career trap. Okay, these are the essential skills employers actually want, and you should really try to develop them in this specific order. First, AI literacy and responsible use. You have to know what AI can do, what it absolutely cannot do, and how to handle confidential data safely. Next, clear instruction and prompt design. Now, I want to squash a massive myth right here. Prompting alone is not a complete career plan. A professional prompt is a strict work specification, not just a clever sentence you typed in. Which brings us directly to the third skill, output evaluation. You must be able to evaluate AI outputs against explicit criteria like accuracy, completeness, and safety. You just can't blindly trust the machine. Fourth is domain and workflow knowledge. You need to map out exactly where AI assists and where human absolutely must review. And finally, basic data literacy. You need to know how to use spreadsheets, organize your evidence, and track meaningful metrics so you can actually measure if your new AI workflow is a real improvement. Just think about the difference in positioning here. Telling someone I know how to use ChatGPT is incredibly weak. It tells an employer absolutely nothing about your judgment or your ability to solve a real business problem. But stating, I designed a source-checked workflow that saved 20 minutes, well, that changes everything. It shows you understand the function, you've applied responsible use by actually checking sources, and you have basic data literacy because you've measured the time saved. This is the difference between casually playing around with a tool and providing credible, rock-solid evidence of applied AI ability.
So how do we actually build that evidence? Let's get into Section 4, the 90-day career roadmap. Now, I want to be very clear up front. This is a structured timeline to reach portfolio readiness. It's a framework for building evidence. It is not some guaranteed promise of instant employment by day 91.
Here is exactly how you spend those 90 days. Days 1 to 14, you select and validate one lane. You use that F.I.T framework we talked about, you pull 15 to 20 actual job descriptions, and you look for recurring responsibilities. Days 15 to 30, you build a documented mini workflow. Map out an existing process, safely add an AI tool using public or synthetic data, and record exactly where the AI succeeds and where it fails. Days 31 to 60, this is the heavy lifting. You complete a measured proof project. Establish a baseline without AI, then run your AI-assisted workflow and honestly report the results. If the AI saved 15 minutes of drafting but then added 25 minutes of fact-checking, you report that. Days 61 to 90, you become application ready. Turn that project into a case study, update your resume based on actual evidence, and target applications that are a strong or even a stretch fit for your new skills.
The guiding principle for this entire 90-day process is super simple. Show proof, not hype. Look, an employer does not care about a folder full of generated text or screenshots of your prompts. That doesn't prove anything other than the fact that you have an internet connection. You have to make your operational reasoning, your rigorous testing, and your professional judgment completely visible to them. To do that, we use what's called the P.R.O.O.F framework for your portfolio case study. Let's break this down. P is for problem. Who experiences the problem and why does improving it even matter? R is for role and constraints. What did you personally do, and just as importantly, what assumptions or limitations were in place? First O is for operational workflow. This is where you map out exactly where the AI assists and where a human must step in to review. Second O is for outcome. What actually changed? This is your baseline comparison. Did it save time? Did it reduce errors? And finally, F is for failures. Actually, this is arguably the most important one. What went wrong? What edge cases completely failed? Documenting your failures shows profound professional judgment. It separates someone who just let an AI tool run wild from someone who actually knows how to govern and manage an AI process safely. Take a look at the work you do every single day. Identify a bottleneck and start applying that F.I.T framework right now. Because here is the provocative truth. AI is not going to replace professionals who understand how to apply it, but it will absolutely replace those who just wait around to be told how it works. So, are you going to be the one who governs the workflow or the one whose workflow gets automated? The 90-day clock starts now.